Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Grandmaster Cemil Ali Marandi, and in this video I would like to analyze the Jerome Gambit for you guys. You might have heard about the Jerome Gambit, and I would like to make sure that everybody understands the ideas behind this gambit and how you should actually proceed. The Jerome Gambit is becoming very popular lately, but you have to kind of understand that this is obviously not the right way to play the game of chess. If you're looking for something which is entertaining, if you're looking for interesting sacrifice very quickly right off the bat in the opening, this is a gambit for you, but it's only for educational and fun purposes. It is really not good for a regular classical game or an over-the-board practice. So the Jerome Gambit begins with the moves e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and bishop c5. This is the main position of the Italian game. And in this position, of course, white has various good moves. White can play castles, white can play c3, white can play d3, or even moves like d4, which are possible. But bishop takes f7 is where the Jerome Gambit begins. Well, black doesn't really have a choice. He has to accept the sacrifice. Knight takes e5 check. So white sacrifices two pieces in order to get some sort of initiative towards the black's king. And here black has to take. Of course he can play a move like king f8, but it's just unnecessary. Knight takes e5 just wins another piece. And the Jerome Gambit continues with the move queen h5 check. Your opponents might also play d4. If you're playing with the black pieces, they might not necessarily play queen h5 check. It's not the only way white can play logically. After d4, well, we can see that there are several ways of getting a totally winning position. I mean, black's position is obviously winning, but we have to make sure that we successfully develop our pieces and make sure that our king is in safety. So queen h4 is a suggested move. You really don't have to play this move, but I think it's objectively the best. The idea is that we are hitting the centralized e4 pawn, and if, let's say, white decides to take our bishop, then we can take the central pawn, and if white goes something like bishop e3, we can collect the pawn on g2, and black is up a piece, and black is the one actually attacking the white's king. I mean, a game might continue with rook f1, but here you can simply play the move d6, in my opinion, with the idea to play bishop h3 and pick up this rook on f1, and this position would be completely winning. So d4 is not really the move you would expect. You can obviously look a little deeper into it. For example, after queen h4, white can decide to castle. Instead of taking the bishop, we still recapture the pawn on e4, and after d takes c5, any move at this position which doesn't blunder more pieces should be sufficient. Queen c6 is logical, it just doesn't want to get a tempo with rook e1. So if rook e1, we can simply retreat the knight, and after knight f6, something like rook f8, king g8 is even going to be possible, and black will be completing his development and winning the game. So queen h5 check is the right move, and the most common human responses are probably to go g6 or try to block with the knight, not to lose any more pieces. But the correct approach to this position is to go king f8. The king is very safe on f8, and asking white how he would like to proceed. And after queen takes e5, here the best move is d5. The reason is that when you're up in development advantage, in this case black is up in development advantage and he's also a piece up, the idea is to try to open up as many files, as many diagonals as possible towards the enemy king. And after a move like d5, well, obviously white doesn't want to trade the queens, because in this position, if you trade the queens, well, now black is simply a piece up and he will be winning the game very easily. Therefore, trading queens when you're attacking, especially down a piece, is generally not a good thing. So knight f6, and this position is completely winning. So white can't really go for the queen trade. What he can go for is he can take the pawn with his pawn. But this has its own disadvantage as well, because you can realize that white has only played with his queen and his pawn so far, because he just lost two of his pieces which he developed earlier. So now black has to somewhat try to start an attack on this weakened white king. So black can go to move knight f6. The idea is fairly straightforward actually. Black simply wants to go king f7 back, and notice that he's very safe because he has his own pieces guarding the king. And then after king f7, the next move will be rook e8, and there's absolutely no attack because white is only attacking with just one queen. So this position is also completely winning. And if white doesn't want to go for this, let's say he goes something like d4, which does somewhat make sense to try to control the center even more, attack the bishop, and perhaps develop the dark squared bishop at some point. Here black can just play bishop back to b6, and after, let's say, a move like castles, he can simply go knight f6. I'm not even checking the best move, but this is just a fact check. On the right hand side, you guys can see that the computer is showing -11. -11 is approximately a queen up advantage. Although black is not up a queen, the position almost feels like black is up a queen. And if you take my pawn, I always will recapture. So this is once again completely winning for black. And here after d4, bishop b6, if white decides to take on d5 now, well, now we play knight f6. And after the move c4, this is probably the most tenacious way white can play. We can go king f7, as we mentioned. Rook e8 is the idea. And after castles, now we go rook e8. And black is soon going to pick up the d4 pawn, because the queen will no longer be able to defend it. Since the queen is under attack now, white can go queen f4, still trying to defend this pawn. But after rook e4, now black will successfully pick up the pawn in the next move, and the position is completely winning. So the Jerome Gambit is all fun and everything, but it's objectively not sound. And I hope with this video you are slightly more familiar with how you can create a counterplay and how you can beat your opponents with the black pieces. Again, as a final reminder, it is all for fun purposes. I have played it myself on my streams, but the position is objectively not sound. So I do not recommend anybody playing the Jerome Gambit unless it's completely for fun. But again, it's your choice, it's your games, and I'm trying to help you all improve in some fashion. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. You can share it with your friends, and hope to see you in the streams while I play some of these interesting gambits against my viewers. In fact, I have recently published my analysis on the Nackmanson Gambit, and then I published the games I played, some of the games I played against viewers. So I thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next videos. Take care.